Just a quick video, hopefully. This is, I suppose this is a vinyl finds. Because, yeah, I've been away for a couple of days, just to the northeast, visiting family. And there were a couple of shops that I'm sort of familiar with that I made an effort to visit. There was Betterdaze in Northallerton and Time Warp in Ashington, and I suppose I like both these places because they're often not too worried about certain types of music, certain types of records, particularly 12-inch singles. So I've done all right for singles in both of these shops in the past, and they also have plenty of interesting things priced sensibly. So it's worth calling in. So I had a little bit of time on the way up, so I detoured via Northallerton, which isn't too far out of the way, and yeah, Ashington's not too far from where my dad is. So anyway, here we are. I haven't gone mad, I haven't spent a fortune, but I found a few things that I'm pretty pleased with. So yeah, there's not loads here. I think there's 14 records. There's a playlist, obviously. This first one isn't from either of those shops though. This was a charity find last week. I was sort of around Manchester most of the week. So this is a soundtrack to the film RPM, which was out in 1970. Was not familiar with this film or this soundtrack. I just grabbed it because it was £1, and yeah, I played it this evening. It's got songs by Melanie, music by Barry DeVorzen, who I was reading was connected with Valiant Records. So yeah, I was just playing this and I was thinking, yeah, this is pretty nice actually for a soundtrack. I'm enjoying the arrangements and Melanie's vocals were pleasant enough. But then I was thinking, I don't need to start keeping things like this, and this just needs to probably go. But then this track, The Riot, came on, and that is not in keeping with the rest of the album at all. It's a bit out of place, really, and it's more like an instrumental blaxploitation style track, and yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's not the best instrumental in that style, but it's worth keeping for. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this for £1. So this is a single. This is AC Maria's. Wasn't familiar with this band. This is from '86. The track is Just Talk. There's an instrumental version on the B-side. So yeah, this is an offshoot from Wire. It's Bruce Gilbert and Angela Conway. So it's just the two of them. And yeah, I mean, immediately I thought of Cocteaus. It does not sound like Cocteaus, but I imagine they were influenced by them and they were probably admirers of them, because it's got that feel. She doesn't sound like Liz Fraser, but a vocal delivery is a little bit in that style. It's not quite so easy to discern, and his guitar playing doesn't sound like Robin Guthrie, and it's not the same guitar tone, but at the same time it just made me think of Cocteaus. And yeah, I mean, this is a keeper. Yeah, like I say, the single was out in '86. It's from an album. It's taken from an album that was out in '89, so they must have been working on it for a while. So yeah, I mean, I'd probably grab that if I got the chance. So this is 39 Leon Street, or Lion Street, however you pronounce that, and it's the track Kites. So this just intrigued me. So I must have looked at the record actually, because I then realised on the B-side it's the Associates. So I just thought, I'm grabbing this then, because this was £1. Yeah, and it turns out that it's the 39 Leon Street is actually the Associates with a female singer doing a cover version of this Kites track. Because for some reason they had a clause in their contract which said they could release as many singles as they wanted on other labels, as long as the A side wasn't attributed to associates. So they could have themselves on the B side, just give themselves a different name for the lead track, and happy days. I think they might have re-recorded it, and this A side is brilliant. The B side turns up on the Fourth Draw Down comp. I think they might have re-recorded Kites later on, but yeah, this is well worth having, and this track's well worth checking out. This track is really familiar, actually. It's a cover version of a 60s tune, but I don't know if I know it from somewhere else. I got this Blossom Dairy track. I don't know if you can see that. I'm Hip. So this is a single from 66. I got it mainly for the B-side, which is Wallflower Lonely, Cornflower Blue. This single is really scarce. There's like literally 21 of them on Discogs. And that B-side is a non-album B-side. I think it's on some compilations and box sets now. The lead track's taken from this live album, also out in 66. So I mean, I'm looking for Blossom Dairy releases, and they're not hard, and they're not easy to find. He wanted a tenner for this, and then he knocked me a couple of quid off, and that is a deal. Got this. Catchy Rhythms from Nigeria, Volume 2 on Phillips. This was originally out in 1960. I think this is a later pressing, but probably still from the 60s. So there's a few tracks on here. Is there 5, 9? I think there's 10, aren't there? The track that I've gone for is Sammy Akbo and his all stars, Save for a Rainy Day. And honestly, it's a great tune. The whole thing is brilliant. Again, not many of these about. So again, he wanted a tenner for this. There's a little bit of crackle, but I mean, you'd expect that, wouldn't you, with a record like that? Eddie Palmieri. This is an album from 1984, so it's a Latin record. I have pride in presenting to you my first LP recorded with entirely Puerto Rican musicians. I hope you enjoy our music. And now let's dance, Eddie. And I enjoyed the whole of this record. The lead track, Palo Parumba, has had the most plays on YouTube, and that was probably the one that jumped out to me the most. That's the one I put on the playlist. This was a £5. I mean, I don't know if that's a deal or not, but it seems pretty good value to me. This is really good. This is amazing. This is Aja Man, Hali Him. So this is chapter 1. I think there is a chapter 2, which is basically just I don't think it's a remix, but I think it's kind of slightly different versions of the same tracks that was maybe put out about 10 years after the original. This original's from 78. I think that might be the original pressing on that Blue Island label. There's only 4 tracks on this. Someone's described it as deep, meditative, hypnotic on the roots, heavy on the groove. It gets a lot of love, and understandably. I mean, I've really enjoyed listening to this. I've only played it a couple of times. Somebody else was pointing out that it's a little bit unusual because it's got quite prominent electric guitar from Del Richardson of Osabiza. So I mean, I'm delighted to find this. I think this was 20 quid. Which probably wasn't a bad price. Got this single. So this is Breakwater. Work It Out. The B-side's good as well. Feel Your Way. I think both those tracks are from their debut album. I think this single was 79, maybe the album was 78. I don't really know too much about this band from Philadelphia. So yeah, I was pleased to get that. Pleased to get this. So I think this was the only single that I was missing from the first Eye Level album. So Minefield is a track from that album. Number 4, the B-side, is taken from that debut as well. Give Me US Remix is a remix of that track. That was a single as well, and this remix is great. I mean, this record was £1, and it's probably worth £1. But I mean, it's well worth picking up. Yeah. I think regardless of the record, I would have just got this for the sleeve. This is ace. I mean, just like the colour purple with this typeset is something else. And the record's not that bad either. It's spaced out Cloud 1 on P&P Records, which was a New York disco label. It's just got the same track on the A and the B. So yeah, Cloud 1 is Patrick Adams. I'm not sure how much I love that tune at the moment, but yeah, it's definitely a keeper. And yeah, I was pretty pleased to get this. So this is Stereolab, Jenny Ondioline. So this is a single EP from 93. It's got 4 tracks on it. Probably the one I'm most familiar with is French Disco, which is the last track on the B-side. Jenny Ondioline is a name given to an early synthesizer, actually, from the 1930s. So it's a bit of a tribute to that. Yes, I mean, the lead track's great. So this version of French Disco is spelled D-I-S-C-O. There's other versions which are spelled D-I-S-K-O. So this is the thing with Stereolab, they put out so much stuff. I mean, I don't know what proportion of their releases are on albums or singles, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's more releases on singles than there was on albums. So there was loads of compilations, and this was a second compilation collecting, B-sides and single-only releases and things like that. So this has got French Disco, but it's D-I-S-K-O, so it's it's a different version. I can't tell you any more than that at the moment. I'll have to do a comparison to work out what the difference is, but all I know is that's a great tune. So yeah, I mean, there's a bit of damage on the sleeve, but I don't know whether I can maybe clean that or not. It was a pretty fair price. I think this was £20 and the record's pretty much near mint. So yeah, this single just sort of was there, so I sort of had a bit of a look, and it's a theme tune to a BBC programme that was on in the 90s, 1990 I think, for disabled kids and youngsters. This record is scarce. I can't remember, is it about 30 copies that are on Discogs? Something like that, and it's a great tune. Discogs has it down as down-tempo new beat. I don't know if I'd go along with that, but I mean, it's an early 90s electronic tune, and it's really good. On the B side, it's the same track on the A and the B, but the B-side's got sort of a vocal take on it, which doesn't really add anything, to be honest. So it's the A-side version which I'm into. But yeah, I mean, someone paid £30 for this when it came up on Discogs, and there's none for sale at the moment. So to find that for £1 is a result. As is this. This is Alain Chamfort. So he's a French sort of pop artist, synth pop maybe. This is his 4th LP from 79. Definitely this is synth pop. He must be a big deal over there because this lead track has had like 6 million views, plays on YouTube. I don't know how much I love it, but at the moment it's a late 70s French synth pop tune, and I ain't got many of those, so I'm keeping hold of this. I think the track is a tribute to some guy who went missing on a round the world sailing race, just lost at sea. So a bit of a tragic story. And finally, Mystic Merlin. So this is an album from 1980, US funk group, first LP of 3. So I was sort of familiar with these because the last track is Just Can't Give You Up, and I've got the single of that. I'm not sure this album brings much more than that track, to be honest, but I maybe need to give it a little bit more time. I noticed there's a few credits. There's Dennis Kofi on one track, maybe Mike Theodore on the same one. So maybe I need to give it a little bit more time. But yeah, I mean, that single's really good. So yeah, it's not an easy one to find, so pretty pleased to pick that up. There you go. Cheers.